How does the latest news out of Indianapolis affect the way that you're drafting Colts? Which AFC South receiver is poised to have a monster 2026 season? And what NFC North tight end do you have to get right in FFPC Big Gorilla drafts this year? Plus, the three-time FFPC League champ Greg Wiener makes us think more about Jordan Addison, Brock Purdy, and so much more. We've got a great show for you. Ferrell Elliott is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Can't stand the pressure. I've seen greater men than these lessons.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now watching the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for analysis from the best players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott.
Solace in the scripture. Are we not all our father's sons? I became a man. Nobody ever told me what a man was.
Thank you, Rob. Greetings to all of you Bulkaholics and Ferrelliacs. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman. My co-host is the definitive commissioner of fantasy football, Ferrell Elliott. Coming up on tonight's show, we're going to converse about Drake May's potential regression by addition. And, of course, we'll get into Carnell Tate's redraft impact this season is in his rookie campaign as well. The three-time FFPC League champion, Greg Wiener, will wax poetic on Zach Charbonnet, George Kittle, and so much more. Connect with us on X at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman. KFFSC.com is where to go to play in the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship. Facebook.com/HSFF Hour is where to reach us there. HighStakesFantasyFootball@gmail.com is where you can send your emails to us. Before we get the show cranked up here, I want to let everybody know that the FFPC Big Gorilla is filling drafts each and every day. 7 bananas and early Rampage promos are live. $1 million grand prize in that competition. The Baby Gorilla, $100,000 grand prize with just $125 to enter. We have the Best Ball Tournament and the Superflex Best Ball Tournaments going off. Remember, we added another $100K onto the grand prize in the Best Ball Tournament, so that's going to go up to $400,000 this year. Don't forget about Dynasty and Empire Dynasty startups now available, $100 all the way up to $5,000 for your entries there. FFPC Chop Leagues going off. Sign up for those. Just don't be the lowest scoring team in any given week, and you will win your Chop League. And then, of course, the main event early bird deadline coming up on 4 days to go on that. Save $200 if you are in by then. Plus, you'll be automatically entered into the Pros versus Joes. Everybody always asks me, how do I get into Pros versus Joes? This is how. Register by midnight on Sunday, and you'll be in that drawing. We have it. MyFFPC.com is where to go. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. Comment on the video, share it with friends, share it with enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live. I apologize for the late start tonight. Technical difficulties prevented us from starting on time, so I do apologize. It was my fault. With respect to tonight's guest, I think I'm going to bring him on right now to make sure that we are not abusing his time tonight. He's already notched 3 high-stakes FFPC titles in his career. He's looking to add on to that this season by winning the $1 million grand prize in the FFPC Big Gorilla. You can connect with him on X at Greg Wiener QS. Please welcome onto the show, Mr. Greg Wiener. Greg, thanks for stopping in, man. How are you?
Great. Thanks, Eric. Really appreciate the opportunity to join your show here, and I look forward to discussing fantasy football in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, listen, when you are not winning all these FFPC leagues and drafting in all these FFPC leagues, what are you doing for a living, sir?
Well, I founded my own company in 1987 at the age of 29. We are an importer of specialty fasteners designed for the cabinet and furniture industries. And if you're a woodworking hobbyist, you can find us online at quickscrews.com.
Quickscrews.com, as in Key West. Quickscrews.com is where to go for that. Okay, well, that's good. And that's been going, for almost 40 years? Is that
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. I got 3 sons in the business, 2 of them who are fantasy football players and got me into fantasy football.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, really
good
cool
for you, man. That's awesome. Let's get into the fantasy football portion of the program tonight. We'll kick things off and talk about my Green Bay Packers. Tucker Kraft is his Big Gorilla ADP right now. And by the way, anytime we cite ADP on this site, on this show, it's always through fantasymojo.com. Darren Armani is the godfather of the Pros versus Joes Challenge. He runs that site, does a great job with it. If you're playing in the FFPC, highly recommend you get a subscription to fantasymojo.com. His ADP, Tucker Kraft, is 601. Does that seem high to you, given that he's coming off an ACL? And if you remember back to last year, when he was catching all those passes where he was the tight end 1 in points per game when he tore that ACL, Christian Watson wasn't on the field. Now the Packers are going to have a healthy Watson on the field to start the season, and then Kraft is coming off the torn ACL. Does it still seem like a price that you want to soak into Tucker Kraft at 601, Greg?
Well, I do, and I have. I expect him fully to recover and be ready to start the season. Besides, if we pay close attention, we know that the Packers let go 2 of their receivers, one of them Romeo Doubs, who was their touchdown leader. They're going to need to fill those targets, and they also let go of Wicks as well. So I do think that he's a good price at this range. I've drafted him multiple times, but it is possible you may find, based on your particular build, it might be too high a price to pay, and you may want to look down the line a little bit later for some other guys that I think are probably not bad picks in a little bit later range. But I like him at 601. I do think that if anything happens with this, the situation with Josh Jacobs, where he's going to miss any time, based on these accusations that came out yesterday. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but that the NFL is serious about behavior and off-field behavior. So if there's any chance that Jacobs misses any time, then yeah, I think Kraft's going to become a huge winner in that offense.
If we look at tight ends in the Big Gorilla over the last 5 days, last 5 days, you were seeing Kraft go off as tight end 7. He's actually fallen behind Kyle Pitts. I don't know if that's a temporary thing or if that's a permanent thing, but tight end 7, if you want to pass on Kraft, you still have a chance at guys like Sam Laporta, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Likely, and the next guy I want to ask you about, one George Kittle. Greg, when we look at him, at what point of the season do you think he comes back? And I asked you about Tucker Kraft's ADP. What do you make of George Kittle's ADP now going as high as the 708 on average over the last 5 days? How many games do you think he misses? And is that a spot you want to be in business with Kittle this year?
That's interesting. The 708, I didn't even know he got that high. I mean, I picked him in previous drafts that I've been doing, for the last month or so. I think I got him in the 9th and 10th. So he's radically moving, and he should be. He is going to be physically healthy to start the season, except they start in Australia. And because they open in Australia, that travel may be an issue for him. I believe if they were playing at home or on the West Coast, that he would absolutely play in week 1. With the Australia game, it's possibly won't, but I think we're going to see a full season of Kittle. And I love George Kittle, man. I mean, I live in the Bay Area. I grew up a Niner fan. I saw my first Niner game at 8 years old. So really, I saw John Brody versus Bart Starr. So I have football in my blood, and I just love it. Kittle is one of my all-time favorite players.
This is a ringing endorsement that we get from George Kittle. And we'll give a ringing endorsement on our co-host joining us right now. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him from the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship at KFFSC.com. Ferrell Elliott joining the program tonight. Ferrell, what's good, man? How are you?
Guys, I was early, and now I'm late, and now I'm not exactly sure where we are, but
we're all together. That's all that matters.
From the G-Man, I heard music to my ears because he is a veteran, obviously, of Keysar Stadium. Are you, G-Man? You sit on the pines at Keysar Stadium. I am so proud of you, brother. You were watching the 49ers back when their uniforms were quite memorable. They looked like Ohio State.
They were more memorable than the way they played. That's for sure.
Yeah, they were a little soft back then, but they had some fine moments. The Rams were taking all the California glory out of that, but
absolutely, we had a good 20-year run in the '80s, right?
Yeah,
we're trying to get back there.
They did okay, and they got a good chance to do okay this year too.
The Niners will tell you they think they can win it all.
Sure, they should. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got our tight end talk out of the way with Kraft and Kittle, Ferrell, but you can pivot us to wide receiver here.
Oh yeah, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about some of the pre-show stuff, or you want to talk about just our regular?
No.
Questions? You want to talk? You want to talk more 49er? You want to transplanted 49er Juwan Jennings?
There you go.
Juwan Jennings is one of my favorite players. We have a lot of guys that come on the show and they'll say, "Oh, he has spike games. He's great for best ball, but it's hard to know when to start him." I love watching him play. Much like Kittle, he makes great efforts as a football player. What's it going to look like for him up in Minnesota, and how's it going to affect those other receivers on the roster up there?
Yeah, in San Francisco, he was known as first down Juwan. Like they bring him on in the third down, and he turned it into a first down. I mean, that was his. He was the third wide receiver over there, and that's how he operated. He's going to do the same thing for Minnesota. He is going to be the third wide receiver. He runs completely different routes than what Jordan Addison runs. And so I don't actually think he's going to impact Addison that much. Addison operates down the sideline a little bit deeper, maybe with some curls and that. Where Juwan, he's going to go into the middle of the field. He's going to take those hard hits from the linebackers, but he's going to get those tough first downs. If they're not running 11 personnel, he won't be on the floor on the field. And so I think Addison is going to be a benefactor of Juwan being added, because he is going to take defenders with him. And I also think Justin Jefferson will actually benefit from that.
Whenever you bring a pro in the room like that, it kind of reminds me about Myers going to Jacksonville last year. I think it really helps the young quarterback too. And I think you're spot on there.
It's weird. The ADP with Jefferson, I've noticed it falling a little bit, and now he has slipped to the 202 in the Big Gorilla, which I think is a really good buy right now. Addison too, it seems like, and I didn't look at the data. Maybe I should look at the data. In fact, I will bring it up right now. Addison is wide receiver 48 at the 1007, and I would say there hasn't been a significant movement from him after they signed Juwan Jennings. So I think a lot of people are with you on this, Greg, that it's not going to affect Addison. I think Addison in the mid-10th is a nice little buy too. And then Juwan Jennings not going until the end of the 15th. That one I'm not sure I'm on board with. But with Jefferson and Addison, if one of those guys were to go down, Jennings, you'd probably get some run out of him until those guys got it. We saw he could do it in San Francisco. Like when he was more of a featured guy, he came through multiple times over the course of his career there. And he's only costing you a 15th round pick. Maybe I can get on board with that. Well.
15th. I agree. 15's good. He stepped into Ayuk when he got injured. That's how he got his opportunity.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what happened there, because he had Debo ahead of him and Ayuk ahead of him. Debo left, and he still couldn't
best damn player you ever get in the 15th round.
Well, yeah, if he goes out there, you're crazy not to grab him. That's for sure.
The other thing too, as long as we're talking about injured players here, I don't know how I'm going to find out, Greg, how you feel about Zach Charbonnet in a little bit, but he's going in the 11th round of FFPC Big Gorilla drafts. And this is a player, when he tore his ACL as late as he tore it in the 2025 season, I was of the opinion that he just wasn't going to play this year. And then Seattle they let Kenneth Walker go to free agency, and they soaked the first round pick into Jadarian Price. And so for me, I look at it from the standpoint right now, am I really going to carry Charbonnet on my roster through the bye weeks, hopeful that I'm somehow in the thick of it in December, and maybe Charbonnet can help me win a lot of money? I don't know if I'm there, because even if he comes back, he probably won't be 100% Zach Charbonnet. He'll probably be a shell of himself for the remainder of this season. So I'm really down on Charbonnet, even though he's an 11th round pick. I don't know, Greg, maybe you can sell me on him here, but I'm not loving him.
I don't know if I can sell you on him. I could probably make a case for him in that if you can pick up, or if you know you're going to really, I rarely go into a draft thinking this way, but if you know that you want to start your draft with two high first, second round picks in the running back area, maybe you end up at the back end of the draft where it's a little bit easier to control exactly who you get. Then you get to Charbonnet, depending on what the rest of your learning look up in the 11th round. It's tough. That is a tough play. You're right. I don't think he's going to be back until week 11 or 12, and then it's really hard to say by then. By then, the rookie might be all primed and high speed and playing like Walker was playing. But Charbonneau's going to play. That's the thing is, he is going to play for sure. That's just the way Mike McDonald runs that squad. He's going to run those runners, and he loves that hard running action there. So I would say that if you're planning for maybe a bigger RB build, and you can get front end top heavy, and then some extra back end coverage, he could be a game winner. It'd be like bringing in a first round player for the playoffs.
G-Man, I'm going to stop you right there because Balky will throw you some of these questions once in a while. That's one of those evil Balky questions. He gets you sounding like you're running for Congress after a while, and you're like on a Sunday morning show, and that girl's looking at you with that mean eye, Yeah. Look, here's something that's easier. I have never run into a fantasy player that has not been somewhat enthused by Drake London. Everybody sees the potential. Everybody understands that he can be a difference maker. Can you overdraft Drake London? And are you is this a player? Is this a receiver? We just had in Kentucky, we've got a best ball draft going. And I noticed that out of the first 18 picks, 13 of them were running backs. Is this a receiver that is third round magic for you if that kind of ratio of running back to receiver continues? And Balky, where is he going in our FFPC?
First of all, I want to say I'm in that draft, that KFFSC draft, and I was blown away because I was picking in the second spot, and it came back to me in the second round. And I've never seen so much green in my life, Ferrell, on the right side of that board. It was all running backs. Like it was all over the place. It was crazy to see all the backs that went off. And I don't even remember. I think I took a receiver. I took Nico Collins. It's beside the point right now. Sorry, Drake London, ADP. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, London right now in the FFPC, wide receiver 7 at the 207 right now.
Oh yeah, he can't. I somehow I got him in the third in some draft, and that was weeks ago. Your thoughts, G-Man, on London? You're going to be a heat-seeking missile for this player.
I wanted him badly last year, and I just didn't get enough shots at him in the right spots. Didn't take him. I think I had him on one or two teams, but I've been. I looked at it that season he had before he got injured, and it was incredible. And everything is lining up for him. And even with Bijan down there dominating like crazy, his opportunities are it's going to be hard to believe, but I think he's going to get more tosses and better tosses this year than ever. Tua's far more accurate than anybody he's ever played with. I just think that the whole Falcons offensive philosophy is going to want to get him targets. So I'm all in on London. You see these all these running backs. And I got in the draft earlier this year on the Big Gorilla where I was in the third position, but it actually made or maybe the fourth position. And it made sense to take London, right? Just because of the way I was looking at it and where I was, where I wanted to draft. And so I've been taking them just because all the running backs are there, but there's a lot of running backs in the first 4 rounds that you could take. So, getting London in the second or third, I'm going to take them all day.
Do you believe Tagovailoa starts the majority of the games for Atlanta this season, Greg?
Well, I believe he starts the season. I don't know if Penix can then beat him out. I like Penix a lot, and I don't think it's much of a drop-off. I really think it has to do with it wasn't Penix injured at the end of the last year. I didn't get a chance to read up on Penix, but I thought he was injured at the end of last year, and I thought that they were going to go – both of them were going to play during the OTAs in the offseason, but I thought Tua was going to start at the beginning of the season. And I think if he does and they get off to a good start, then I think it's going to be hard for Penix to get in, right? I think Penix gets in if for some reason the Falcons don't get off to a good start.
I think that's the biggest question out of Atlanta. That's pretty fascinating.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be hard.
It's the third time he's torn an ACL, Penix, because that's what the injury was in November. However, the first 2 times he tore it, it was his right knee. This one is his left knee. He'll probably, I think if I remember correctly, he was working out at OTAs and doing some stuff there, obviously not full go. But that could be a case too, where again, for best ball leagues, you have to be concerned with this if you're looking for Atlanta stacks, because Tagovailoa could start the season. I'm with you, Greg. I think he does start the season, but then who's finishing the season? Is it going to be Penix taking over at some point? Does Tagovailoa hold him off? One of the things that we have to kind of figure out, and maybe we'll get some more data points on that as training camp sort of rolls on.
I think so.
I want to talk about Carnell Tate here. We just spent months and months and months talking dynasty on this show, talking about the NFL draft, rookies and everything. And I think for the most part, we've looked at a lot of these rookies through a scope of what kind of career are these guys going to have. Let's narrow it down even more and talk about Carnell Tate in his rookie season. Looks to be the fully fledged number 1 wideout for Tennessee, has a strong arm quarterback and Cam Ward who loves pushing it down the field. These should all be good things. What kind of impact do you think he's going to have his rookie year, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I joined the dynasty world this year and picked up a bunch of dynasty teams that drafted Tate in one of them. So I do hope he's going to help jumpstart Ward and the rest of the Tennessee offense. They really need that, right? But like most rookies, I kind of expect the impact to be greater as the season wears on. Some rookies do shoot out of the gate, and it's quite possible Carnell can. I do think there's a little bit of an advantage here. Tate for earlier production because DeBoll, who became their offensive coordinator, I think he can do some good stuff with Ward, and unlock some things. And if he does, maybe it's because of Tate, and Tate kind of shows him a way to get him the ball, and we can see some big things from both Ward and Tate. That's what I'm hoping for.
Wow.
Dable has a history of working with young quarterbacks that have become pretty significant. Now, how much of that was him and how much of that was the quarterback, I don't know. But Josh Allen, we had Jackson Dart last year. Dable has had, and then obviously in the college ranks too, down at Alabama. He worked with some pretty talented quarterbacks down there as well. So Tate's going to be interesting this year. Ferrell, as much as I love talking wide receivers on this show, and especially rookie ones, I'm fascinated by this quarterback in San Francisco right now. And now we get to talk about it and hear from the horse's mouth himself in the Bay Area, Mr. Greg Wiener.
Yeah. We like a little quarterback action out there. So back when you were at Keysar Stadium, and then when you left Keysar and moved to the Stick, you thought that was an upgrade, didn't you?
Well, no, because I had been going to Giants games since I was.
And then you froze to death, right?
So I already knew what that deal was all about. But you remember, football starts in September, and that's always the best weather. September and October, the best winter weather in San Francisco. So we actually enjoy football in the beginning every year.
You experienced the same thing then of having a pretty darn good quarterback in your beloved John Brody, but you had to look south to L.A. and they had Roman Gabriel. That's one step ahead of you. We got the same situation now.
Interesting, right? Over the years.
You got the same situation. You've got a good, serviceable quarterback, and the star quarterback is down there in the Rams, and you got to figure out a way to beat him. Is Purdy going to be that guy? Is he going to continue his maturation as a player and bring the type of leadership offensively that this team needs? Sometimes there's so many stars on this offense with the running back and with Kittle, and you kind of think that this personality of this quarterback, where's the room for him to step up? That's something I've always thought about. But I love Purdy. He's in the 11th round. You're going to get better. You're going to get better serviceable numbers than any other 11th round quarterback with him. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I love Purdy. He's one of my favorite Niners. I had season tickets, well over 20 years. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I just recently moved off those, but I've been there the last 8 years. And, when they drafted him, it was kind of a joke, right? He was the last man in the draft joke. Last man drafted. And I mean, that's always like just a joke because it's the last man drafted. Mm-hmm. But him and Shanahan are on the same page. The offensive line is tooled and ready to go.
They got Williams signed and ready to go. The guy's a beast. Trent, he went 2 seasons and didn't allow a sack. So I think Purdy is primed and ready to go. I saw him in an interview the other day where he's said the Niners are going to win the title this year, or capable of winning the title. I don't think he said they were going to win the title. But, yeah, one thing about him that's very interesting that I don't know if a lot of people see him play. I see him up close to play quite a bit, right, and all his games. But he moves through in the pocket pretty smoothly, where he does a good sidestep, right, where he doesn't run out of the pocket. He kind of glides out of the pocket. And so I think he buys a little bit of time on that. He can be an effective runner where you don't expect him to run, but he can be effective. He ripped off some 40-yard runs last year. And I do think that this year Shanahan will open up the playbook a little bit more, because I think you can't give McCaffrey 400 dokes again. 400 touches. I don't think they're going to, they're all talking about this offseason. I listen to a lot of the radio shows and it's all about, we got to save McCaffrey. We can't wear him down. But, Shanahan will run him to the nub if that's what it takes for the Niners to win. That's just a fact.
One of the things I like about Purdy, and we touched on it earlier, which Jennings, and you can take a look at the backup tight end, Tongas, who everyone thinks is going to get some play, and I really like as a player. He gets presented with this group of players, and he continues to elevate their game. He does not have to have the all-pro receiver or tight end on the field to be successful, and I like that about him.
He's the classic everyday man, right? Everybody's man. He garners massive respect from the
kind of like Balky. It sounds like you're talking about Balky. That's what I did.
No Brock Purdy, sir. But I will say,
but Purdy don't have your beard, so
and you've never been Mr. Irrelevant, Balky. You're always
I have been, especially in my own family. I will say this, guys. Remember, Purdy got off to that really good start last year. 277 and 2 touchdowns, 309 and 2 touchdowns the first 2 games. That's when he gets hurt. He essentially misses 2 months, and then it takes him a little bit to work himself back in. But if you look at the finish to that season, his last 3 of his last 4 regular season games, the last one was against Seattle. It was a slobber knocker defensive struggle, so nobody put up great numbers in that. But you look at the 3 games before that, 295 and 3 touchdowns, 295 and 5 touchdowns, 303 and 3 touchdowns. This guy was insane to end the season last year. Even in the playoffs, 262 and 2 touchdowns against Philly. And so I think that if you want to wait on quarterback, let's just say you wait till the top 11 quarterbacks are off the board in the Big Gorilla, which right now, if you do that, you can have your choice and you can go quarterback with any one of Brock Purdy, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff. I mean, I'm going to have so many teams this year. At least I'm going to say this right now. I don't know for sure how it's going to play out, but I think I'm going to have so many teams this year where I'm going to have 2 of those 6 guys, and I'm just going to play matchups with them throughout the season.
So you're never going to Lamar Jackson. You're never going to Josh Allen.
Never say never. Okay,
I'm saying never, because I think you would be foolish to do so, because you got never.
It's hard. It's hard.
It is. And I will say in best ball, I probably never will do that, because I like rebuilding the quarterback position in the aggregate with 2 quarterbacks or 3 quarterbacks, where I think that there's less of an edge to have, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or any of these other guys or whatever. But yeah, in managed leagues, I probably will if Lamar Jackson falls, or, Burrow is another one, even though he doesn't use his legs a whole lot. He's another guy I like this year. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with how, and I'll update everybody, because I know everybody wants to know I'm handling the quarterback position in my drafts this year.
Everybody, and you're getting a lot of compliments tonight. Derek Greer, who consistently competes with you, is complimenting you, and a lot of people here, good stuff.
I will say we do have they're not complimentary to me. But we do have a few emails I want to get to tonight.
Emails are good.
Emails are always good. And the first one comes to us, John in Windsor Mill, Maryland. He writes, "Hiya, Greg. How much control does Rachaad White have on that Commanders backfield right now?" Thanks, man. That is John in Windsor Mill, Maryland. We appreciate the email, John. I don't know how you would handle the Commanders' backfield at the moment, Greg. What's the proper procedure that FFPC players should be taking in their Big Gorilla drafts?
It's tough. It's tough. If Jaden Daniels comes back and he's 100% and he runs the RPO, he limits all of the running backs' potential scores that he could take at the goal line. At the RPO, he could take away the ball and not give it to him. I still think that White will not be the starter. I think what's his name? It's skipping me.
Krosky Merritt.
JCM. I think he's actually going to be the everyday back. I don't. Yeah. White has always been the third down back, the receiving back. That's how he played the role in Tampa Bay. So I don't really think he's going to replace. I think they're going to go committee again. Right. What choice do they have? The rookie Allen might be a good late pick. If you're looking to pick up somebody late in the late rounds, maybe you already picked up your defense and such, and you're just taking a stab. This guy may actually end up playing. So
I thought Merritt in our drafts last year, Krosky Merritt was one of the most underrated players, and I think he's underrated again this year. He did more with less than a lot of running backs did in the league last year, and he's got some good. If we brought the Dizzle in and talked relative athletics and that kind of stuff, he's got some good numbers.
Yeah. And I've been reading a little bit about Eckler wanting to come back too. And, I would take Eckler in a lot of drafts.
You'll be reading about Eckler wanting to come back in 2032. It'll be consistently Eckler will be coming back. Balky, this is good stuff.
I'll tell you what's not good stuff. The Washington Commanders ADP for their running backs in the Big Gorilla right now. The first one being chosen is Rachaad White, and that doesn't happen until the 9th round. Krosky Merritt is going in the 10th right after that, and then to Greg's point, Katron Allen going last at running back 55 in the 14th round. So that might be one of those. I don't know. Like I'm not all that interested in Krosky Merritt. Maybe Greg, you're right, and he does have an impact. But I know Rachaad White can catch passes, and I know Katron Allen's a rookie. He's the mystery box. He's a guy that they drafted this year, and he only cost me a 14th round pick. So I think there's something to be said for that. Although I don't think he's a special talent at all, and I think athletically, Krosky Merritt definitely has a couple of notches up on Katron Allen for sure.
Yeah, I can tell the caller. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I can tell the caller. I wouldn't be looking to draft Rachaad White. It's just
speaking of running for Congress, that answer has a lot of dead political in it there.
let's do.
All right, I haven't drafted him. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. That's the way to do it. I love it. Greg, one more email for you. Pete in Anaheim. What's up, Greg? Even with the potential addition of A.J. Brown, are you at all concerned with potential regression coming from Drake May? Thank you, Pete in Anaheim. Drake May right now, there's a lot of people that believe in May in the big Gorilla. I can tell you his ADP right now is all the way up to so high I can't even see it. Quarterback 4, 706 is where we're looking at right now. Now, maybe I'm by the way, I'm totally with Pete on this. I have some concerns about a player who had an incredibly easy schedule last year, a player that took a natural leap forward in his second year, and a player that carried his team all the way to the Super Bowl, falling just short. The Super Bowl curse, whoever loses the Super Bowl, maybe it's nothing, but there is a significant history here of those teams regressing quite a bit the following year. And I wonder if you throw A.J. Brown into the mix, if that looks better on paper than it actually is in real life. So all this to say, I think May is going to have a fine season. I don't know if it's so fine that I want to take him in the mid-7th of the Big Gorilla when I just rattled off all those other 6 quarterbacks at least 4 rounds later. I don't know if Drake May is the way I want to spend my 7th round pick. What say you, Greg?
Well, I'm kind of with you on this. Not only that, they have a much more difficult schedule this year. And if I remember correctly, Mike Vrabel coached A.J. Brown while he was at Tennessee. And I don't recall them A.J. Brown being his favorite receiver, or having A.J. Brown call his number 15 times a game. So I'm not even sure that if they get A.J. Brown, although I love A.J. Brown, I don't know if that's going to take May. 7th is really rich, right? I mean, most of the times in FFPC, most experienced or winning managers are trying to build their team, and they need to get a little bit further along before they're picking quarterbacks. That's just the facts, right? I consider it a really successful draft if I was able to draft my first quarterback in the 9th round, right? So it's just kind of a mentality about it. 7th is close. We're seeing some gaps. I've recently seen some gaps around the late 6th, depending, if you're picking in the back half. And so I've seen people get Burrow there, but I just, Burrow's a whole different thing. Burrow already came out and said he wants to break the all-time touchdown record for next year. And so, and he can do it. He's got the talent on the field with him. Drake May. Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
It's a weird place. It's a weird place to draft a quarterback in the 7th round. Just weird. Just don't want to do it.
Do you, Greg, you said you loved A.J. Brown. Mid-3rd round, would you be taking him there? That's where he's going right now, even though we don't know officially where he's going to be playing football this year. Is wide receiver 11.
Yeah, because I get the choice. I know I'm going to be drafting later. I'm just kind of choosing to, unless he's like laid in my lap at a really advantage on the ADP side. I haven't been picking him yet. Just because I'm a little bit leery about what if he doesn't end up in New England, and then you're like, and he ends up in a really bad situation, or worse, he ends up with another superstar and he doesn't even end up being the first choice.
We've avoided talking about Bucky Irving tonight, which Balky, that's amazing. But I wonder why we're not getting more emails on Diggs. That's what I'm curious about.
Okay, so the thing is with Diggs is I expected, because he had that court thing too, that he wasn't. I think he was found not guilty. I think he was formally charged, found not guilty, and I said, okay, well now he'll sign somewhere. Somebody's going to pick him up, and yet he's still out there. Now this is a two-way street, as Ferrell knows. Like, we don't know what Diggs and his team are asking for. We don't know what he's being offered right now, but we haven't really heard a whole lot of many teams sniffing around. I don't think anybody's had him in for a workout. I don't think he's talked about any specific places at all. And he's wide receiver 53 in the 12th round. So to me at that point, okay, well, take a chance. I mean, that's Coker, Higgins, Dobbs territory, or Matthew Golden. Taking a chance on him in the 12th round is fine. I think, and Greg, I'll let you weigh in on this too. I think once he does sign, we're going to see that probably, depending upon where he signs, but I would imagine he's going to sign somewhere that I don't know if he'll be the number one guy, but certainly a prominent player in the offense. And I don't think we're talking about Diggs in the 12th anymore. I think we're talking about him in the early 10th or the late 9th. I think we're going to see that within a few days of his signing, wherever that's going to be. We are going to see him move up. So, Greg, maybe the best way to handle it right now is to draft Diggs, and then when his price goes up, you already got him and you don't need him anymore.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. That's exactly how I look at it. And it's like the inverse of A.J. Brown, right? Yeah. That's what it is. And you should be, if you're getting down to the 12th round and you see Diggs sitting there and you're sitting on 4 or 5 receivers, grab him.
Okay, G-Man, where do you like him better? Balky says there's no smoke about where he's going to go. I think I know where he's going to go.
Where do you think he's going to go, Ferrell?
I think we got 2 choices.
Okay.
Raiders and Chiefs.
Yeah.
Well, where do you like him best? Raiders, Chiefs? Where do you not like him at all? Come on, G-Man. You're the guy.
Yeah. Well, clearly both teams can use him. Chiefs, what are they going to do? But they can't figure out how to keep Rashee Rice on the field. Rashee Rice is getting himself off the field. Thornton never really worked out. He's sitting out there on the end. I think he gets 2 passes a season or something. So it's not very effective. I think Diggs would perform very well at KC and very well at the Raiders. Look, the Raiders are going to start Cousins. They're not starting Mendoza. He's going to come out. Cousins has still got the zip on the ball. He's going to get it to Bowers. And if Diggs is out there, he'll get it to Diggs. Raiders don't have any receivers. They just have hours.
Let's don't take what's old Trey's name. What's
Trey Tucker.
Yeah,
he's
Trey away yet. He's pretty good receiver. But you're right, because Cousins and Kubiak, they were there with him in Minnesota, and that. So where do you prefer him? Kansas City or the Raiders?
Well, I have to get rid of my personal bias against Kansas City, because I did go to that Super Bowl where they beat the Niners. That was very depressing.
You're still feeling the pain there.
Still feel the pain. But I loved it. The Super Bowl was the greatest. No, I think actually for Diggs, if you're looking for what's best for the player, obviously I think Diggs goes to Kansas City. It's a very veteran team. He's a veteran guy. The thing with Diggs you have to all wonder about is he got all the crazy behind him?
He's 32 years old, so if he's not going to get it done now, this is it. Crazy will follow him around.
He could be the next Antonio Brown.
I think it's a good commentary. Well, he's not that crazy. I think it's a good commentary on where they feel about their rookie quarterback.
That's true.
I'd like to see what he does. Yeah, maybe it's a can we can get into on another show. We could go deep down that hole, and we might even find Bucky Irving lurking down there.
Yeah, I'm sure. The Bucky Irving conversation. Like I thought about including him in the show tonight. I'm like,
I know.
Talk so much Irving that we don't have time.
We've talked so much Irving and Tucker Kraft that we've left poor Pittman out of all the conversations.
We did, yeah.
But that's one of G-Man's favorite players. Is Pittman.
It's everybody's favorite player. Everybody loves Michael Pittman. By the way, Gary on YouTube right now suggested the Los Angeles Rams, and I think that's interesting too, because we heard that they might have been poking around A.J. Brown. We know that they won a Super Bowl when they had Odell Beckham as their number 3 receiver there. So maybe there is a pathway for Diggs there. The only thing I would say is the Rams seem to be going all in with this 13 personnel. It's just like they have 8 tight ends on the field. I don't know how often Diggs would get in there. I mean, you're already taking Puka Nacua off the field at the expense of having these tight ends. So I don't know if you want to sign Diggs, but certainly that would be a good organization for him to join. It would be good. Ferrell, one final question for Greg tonight. Go ahead.
Yeah, the question, and we've been asking it a lot of ways. I think with you, I'm tempted to edit it, but I'm not going to do it, because even though I know you could handle it, I just want to know. You're a very positive guy. I want to know somebody that you just do not like and do not see a future for on any of your teams. And then I would prefer it to be a sleeper, because that would help out. You said earlier about people paying attention. Anybody that's watching this show's got to be paying attention, So okay. Who's a guy that you really think is a fantastic bargain? We've uncovered a lot of them tonight, some of them household names. Who's a guy maybe underneath the radar that you think's a big bargain?
Yeah, I think these guys are way down the bargain list, but sometimes way down is the best surprise there is. I'm gonna call for Greg Dulcich, the Miami tight end. He's way down there. He's going like 200 and something.
Yep. If at all.
Yeah, if at all. And everything I hear and see, I just think, if you look at, he had a lot of activity at the end of last year. He was very active. I just think he's going to come out of nowhere with their. I mean, they got rid. I mean, they don't have. They depleted their passing course. Now they're going to focus on Achane, so we know that. But you can't focus on one offensive player. So I throw my hat in. The late rounds. Dulcich. And I do have another one late rounds. Most of you guys know this guy, and that's Tank Dell. He's coming back, and we don't know exactly when he's coming back, but I've taken a lot of flyers on him. I'm going to keep taking flyers on him, because if he gets back anywhere midseason, it does anything like he used to do, you're getting, home run city.
Tank Dell, I have drafted a few times already, because, like you said, super late. And I like Dulcich, obviously, in FFPC too. Tight end premium scoring. You're getting him at tight end 29 in the Gorilla right now at 1605. I love it. The Tank Dell thing, if we remember back, so 2 things I'll point out about Tank Dell. And granted, both of these things happened before that awful leg injury, that awful knee injury. but he was not that far off in target disparity between him and Nico Collins. And he also was a player that reportedly, after the Texans drafted CJ Stroud, he told them to go out and get Tank Dell on the team too. So, the quarterback loves him. And now we know, and as far as, you talk about if Dulcich is even going, I mean, Tank Dell, wide receiver 75 at the 1803. Right. So, and sometimes he's not being taken either. So I think especially if you load it up on stud running backs or maybe a couple of stud tight ends early, and you're trying to cobble together those receivers, Tank Dell is definitely worth your pick at the end of big gorilla drafts or best ball drafts too. I think the same thing.
G-Man, your answers to those questions make me want to do one thing. Go sign up for an FFPC team and draft more. That's what it makes me. Those are great answers.
You want to know who I'm not drafting?
Yeah, absolutely we do.
I can't do it. I cannot take Brian Thomas.
Okay.
Oh, now wait a minute. What are you talking about here?
I'm sorry. You got three guys right in the middle there. They're all ranked very close to each other. And I suffered the bias of having him last year and drafting him as if he was good. And so
so let me flip that.
But honestly, I would take Parker Washington of those three because I believe he's the one who's going to come out of that trio. Lawrence favored him at the end of last year. If you look at his last 7 games, he was I don't know what it was, but he was clearly in the top 15 wide receivers.
Caught 32 passes in December alone.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I'm not drafting Thomas, but if I can get Washington, and I've picked him up quite a bit, so I can look for him.
Okay, you guys are talking, we talked a lot about quarterback tonight, and I appreciate that because sometimes we don't.
Right.
So you agree that Thomas has the potential to be great. So, and you see the depth. Jacoby Myers is there. You see the depth. A competent tight end. Why aren't we beating the drum a little more for Trevor Lawrence? Why don't you go in and get the quarterback? Because
that is a good point.
Yeah,
that way is a quarterback.
I think you do get the quarterback. Look, last year, the coach, Liam Coleman, he utilized a huge playbook where he intentionally was going to force Lawrence to really pass the ball around. And they did a great job of it. Now, maybe somebody will emerge from that. But I think you're right. If you want to play the Jags receivers, play them through the quarterback.
Some of our guests, I wouldn't ask these questions but you have exposed yourself as a superior intellect to most. And guys, I've had so many people refer to Parker Washington as a little receiver, without looking, Balky. Balky's already looking.
I'm not looking.
Eyes forward, Balky. Who weighs more, Flowers or Parker Washington?
Parker Washington.
How much? Can you give me a number on Parker Washington's weight? Either of them.
Can I look it up or am I guessing?
No, you got to guess.
I'll guess Parker Washington is 205 and Flowers is 190.
Brilliant. Flowers is 180 and Parker Washington is 205, 204. Okay. G-Man, you didn't even get to play because Balky is so brilliant.
It's okay. That's not my specialty, so I appreciate the.
I used to work at a carnival.
I did this for a living. Do his thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But, when you think about a guy like Parker Washington, everybody's coming on here and talking about Parker Washington, and you just keep looking at what he did last year. He's a great over-the-middle guy, but he's 204 pounds, tremendous contact balance. I think that's why he stretched yards. I think that's why at Denver in December, which was a game that I watched a little bit this past week when I was looking a little deeper into him, where he got 145 yards and took one of them to the house for 63 yards. He can run past everyone, and he can take the hit and keep yards after catch. I think the more I don't Balky, where's he going now? 4th round, 5th round? Where is
no, not that high.
No,
yeah,
I believe
7th, right?
I believe when we get to Planet Hollywood, he's in the 4th and 5th round.
I would be shocked if he got that high, Ferrell. But there's non-zero chance of anything, right? Washington 704, Thomas 709, Myers 905, Hunter 1508. That's where the Jacksonville.
Hunter's a defensive back. I wouldn't draft him.
Yeah, he everything coming out of there says his receiver. He's got to be a best ball player, right? I mean,
Totally. 100%.
Yeah. How could you put him in a managed team?
He could make an interception and take it to the house.
Yes, he could.
He gets 6 points for that. I don't know.
Action scoring, absolutely, yeah. One other question we have here tonight. This comes from Rubio, Greg.
Hey, I wonder how Rubio's doing.
Well, he can tell us, but he wants to know if you have any insider info on Brandon Ayuk and what's going on there.
Actually, listen to the Niners reporters today, and Ayuk. It's the bizarrest situation, to be honest with you. Nobody thought he'd even be with them now, and he's still with them.
Mm-hmm.
So what they talked about today was they went through a little bit of the history where, it looked like he was ready to come back. Like in September, October, November, they were talking about maybe coming back, and he was going to all the practices and everything was fine. And then he just stopped showing up. But he was healthy. He was actually so he's healthy, and so now the Niners have to decide what they want to do. Right? They're most likely after June 1 they'll release him.
Yeah,
right?
June 1's a magic.
That's probably what's going to happen. I don't think anybody's going to trade for him. But the kid is not. I mean, if you check his socials, because he used to be pretty active in socials, he's not really talking about playing football. It's weird.
That is weird.
Some of the talk today was, is he actually? Like, could he walk? Could he not come back at all?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have any more insight than rumor from sportscasters, I guess. Yeah. But I would. There's no way on earth he's playing for the Niners. That's a fact. Like,
yeah,
they've just already written him off. So whatever they're waiting on, it's some advantage for themselves, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think John Lynch said that too, where he's like, "Look, we're gonna do what's best for the team," and right. I don't know. If they're not getting what they want right now, then what's the point?
I've never heard a general manager say that.
Yeah, no, not the good ones.
It's just the new stuff right there.
Okay, this has been great, Greg. A lot of fun stuff. We shared some laughs. We had a good time. We learned a lot, which was great as well. We will continue in order to connect with you. We'll continue to connect with you at Greg Wiener QS Quick Screws. On X, and I'm sure we'll all see you in the draft rooms. Good luck this season on taking down that $1 million grand prize. Thanks so much for being a part of the show tonight, dude, and enjoy your drafting summer.
Great, man. Thanks a lot, Eric. Thank you I really appreciate joining you guys. It's a lot of fun. So much fun.
See you soon, Greg. I know something about Greg he doesn't even know about himself.
What's that?
He'll be in Kentucky in August.
Exactly. Yeah. Had to get in that.
We can't let Derek Greer be the last Californian ever to join. Derek's now an old grizzled vet of the KFFSC.
Yeah, we get but there's some good California people.
Oh yeah, but Derek is the last Californian to plant the proverbial flag with the bear on it.
Right. Ferrell, I do want to get to some stuff.
I
do want to get to
some stuff.
We're going to do some stuff right now. And we'll squeeze this in that we didn't get to at the top of the show. Okay. Obviously, Greg alluded to this. Brown County District Attorney's Office not yet prepared to make a formal charging of Josh Jacobs regarding this domestic abuse arrest that happened a couple of days ago now, or yesterday, I should say. Rob Domofsky reporting this for ESPN.com. The standard for an arrest in this case is probable cause. So the Hobart, I think it was, police department had probable cause to arrest Josh Jacobs. But the district attorney, there's a higher standard here that they have to adhere to. And apparently the evidence against Jacobs is, I don't know if they've decided whether it meets that standard yet. So they have not charged him. He was released from jail today, and he's out. Whether I asked if he's going to be at OTAs to some people today in the area, and they didn't know if he was showing up. Now,
take a day off.
He could still have charges filed against him. His attorneys seem to think that there won't be any charges filed against him, and his attorneys are saying something to the effect. Drew Davenport from Football Guys was talking about this on X. There seems to be some piece of evidence or some sort of pieces of evidence that is going to change this situation, and maybe that's why the DA's office didn't file. Okay, legal stuff and everything aside, you're watching this for our fantasy football take on this. Ferrell, I had the chance to draft Josh Jacobs in a KFFSC Best Ball Championship tonight, both at the end of the 3rd round and the beginning of the 4th round. I declined to do so both of them, and he was still out there. Josh Jacobs, over the last 5 days in the FFPC Big Gorilla, has gone as late as the 502, settling in at the 304. That ADP is going to keep falling, though, as running back 15. Justin Herzig said this in his newsletter yesterday, that he's basically discounting him around, but not much more beyond that. There's a lot of different ways that this can go, and certainly it doesn't look great for Jacobs right now, but we've seen this go a lot of different ways in the past. Your thoughts on Josh Jacobs right now and how to handle him in drafts? Are you letting someone
your initial legal breakdown of it reminded me of Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis from Louisville, Kentucky, many, many years ago. I mean, you were spot on. The investigatory skills of this show, Balky, I expect you to be at the Brown County Courthouse and be kind of looking around.
Right.
Are you still doing the popular culture show discussing the movies? I don't know, since
Yes.
I've never been invited as a guest. But since you're still doing it, you'll remember in My Cousin Vinny when the prosecutor stood up and says, all charges dismissed. And that's kind of what we don't even have any charges to dismiss right now. But I believe that's I think this unfortunate incident, player will reestablish himself, refocus himself, and bring that energy back to the field. And I see no reason not to be drafted.
The other thing to consider too, even if this does go sideways and bad for Josh Jacobs as far as a suspension goes, we don't even know if that suspension will be this year. We don't know if that suspension will take place at all. Now, Drew did say that there's a higher chance that Jacobs could be placed on the commissioner's exempt list, which hasn't been utilized a whole lot the last several years, but it has been used. So it's something, I think that the biggest thing to tell people about right now, I think it's serious, but is it serious enough to just write them off my board? I don't think it's to that level yet. I'm still at the let other people deal with it. But if it's like a round and a half or, definitely 2 rounds of a discount, then yeah, I'm going to take the chance and see what I can do with Jacobs on my team and see what happens this year. In positive news, Daniel Jones, coming off the Achilles, Ferrell, was participating in individual drills at OTAs for Indianapolis today. Joel A. Erickson had this report too from the Indy Star. He did everything in individual drills, and he's just shy of 7 months after tearing this Achilles in week 14 of the 2025 season. Still has 60 days roughly to get to training camp, and he should be ready by week 1. So this is good because we saw how good that Colts offense was when Daniel Jones was at the peak of his powers last year. And now maybe we give guys like Alec Pierce, guys like Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor even, Josh Downs. Maybe we start giving these guys an upgrade because it doesn't look like we'll be seeing the Riley Leonard, Anthony Richardson, or God forbid the Phillip Rivers show for week 1 for the Colts this year. It looks like it's going to be DJ.
It's going to be Indiana Jones. That's all you need to say about it. Resiliency, Balky.
Yeah, I'm surprised you can talk positive about it, given that he doesn't have Michael Pittman to throw to.
Well, that's going to be a disappointment for everyone you mentioned previously.
Right. Let's see here. Let's do another one here. Devon Achane. Ferrell, have we talked about Devon Achane a lot? I feel like we haven't.
We haven't.
Okay. Alanis Thames posted this on X that Devon Achane says he's hoping to return to full action by the start of training camp. He had a cleanup procedure done on his shoulder this offseason, been practicing in a limited capacity recently, but has not been fully cleared. Now, he said he's regained the strength in his shoulder. So this is probably just the team being cautious or whatever. And they just did give him $68 million in a 4-year contract extension as well. I don't think that would be an issue in 2 months, but Bucky Irving saying, hold my beer. So there is a little
there it is.
Devon Achane in regards to this. How do you feel about Achane? Because his ADP is much, much higher than Bucky Irving. And you're talking about an undersized running back. These are just, I'm laying it out there. These are facts. He's an undersized running back. that is going off the board at the 203 in the Big Gorilla right now as running back 7, and he's coming off a shoulder injury. And the offense he's playing on this year, I think, is objectively worse than what it was last season. Mm-hmm. All that aside, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Devon Achane at the 203, Ferrell, is that a place that you want to be in business with him? I've skipped over him in a couple of drafts already this year.
Bucky, I want you to quit living in fear. We have talked about the unsung heroes of the NFL is in the training rooms. He's just not sitting around. They're working. I happen to know this trainer in Miami, Kyle Johnstone. He's the number one man in charge down there. Hardin County, Kentucky Trojan graduate. Worked at University of Louisville till about 2010, 11. Moved on down to many internships along the ways with NFL teams, and so when a team is going to pay $68 million to a player, they'll ask about his injury. They'll ask about how he works coming through it. And they'll rely on the whole organization, including a guy like Kyle, to come in and say, you know what, we're going to be fine. And that's you'll be fine to draft this player because whatever we don't like about the Dolphins as a team in their 2026 season, we should love from a fantasy perspective about Achane, because the entire offense, the glue of all of it, will run through him.
Volume will not be a problem for Achane this year, and I probably got to get my bags packed on Achane at some point because I think I might be missing out right now. And I shouldn't draft in fear. Don't draft in fear. That's something.
Do not live in fear, Bucky.
Yeah.
It's unbecoming to a man with a beard like you.
Yeah, can't be fearful with a beard like this. Ferrell, that is I'm gonna put a pin in. I'm gonna save Parker Washington for Friday because I want to get our guest on Friday's thoughts on Parker. We already talked about it with Greg. I want to talk about it with Dan. So let's put a pin in this.
Everybody wants to talk about Parker Washington.
Everybody, seriously, and we won't be guessing any weights with Parker Washington coming up.
Well, you've already stooped. You've already made that.
And he's 5'10" as well, just in case you're going to ask me his height. Yeah. The KFFSC is filling up main events, the Sweet 16 Best Ball Championship. You have $39 Draft Masters, $99 big payback play-ins, auction leagues, all available at KFFSC.com. That is the place to go. Ferrell, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We will talk with you on Friday, man.
See you Friday, buddy.
You got it. That is Ferrell Elliott, the definitive commissioner of fantasy football. I want to thank him. I want to thank Greg Wiener, the FFPC, Rob Bryson, of course, each and every one of you. This show will come back next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss Insider Access tomorrow night, which goes live at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be myself and Rotoballers Ryan Goodman, RJ the Goodman on X. He rejoins me for a spirited 2 hours of FFPC fantasy football conversation. Rotoviz High Stakes Lowdown is back for the June edition. Coming up next Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, John Terry, the venerable John Terry, will join me for that. I don't even know how many leagues he's won, 50, 60 over the course of his career. So it'll be fun to sit down with him. That will be coming up on Tuesday. And then I've obviously extra reps this Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern. You can tune in for that. The 24-time FFPC league champ and defending KFFSC main event champion, Dan Flamholtz, will rejoin the show, and he will be on Friday night at 10 p.m. That's going to be a lot of fun. The Big Gorilla, $1 million grand prize, drafts filling each and every day. We filled a couple more today. Slow drafts are filling up as well. You won't be waiting long to draft for $1 million here in May. It's fantastic. The Baby Gorilla, the entry fee is $125, but it's still got the same format as the Big Gorilla and $100,000 grand prize. Don't forget about our best ball tournaments. I mentioned that our best ball tournament moved from a $300K grand prize to a $400K grand prize this year. And don't forget the Superflex best ball tournament, $35 to enter, $100,000 grand prize there as well. If you want to play fantasy football year-round, Dynasty and Empire Dynasty startups are available. $100 through $5,000 entries. Check those out at myffpc.com. And you still have a few days left to get in on the FFPC main event early bird. Save $200 off your first team, $600 off each additional team, and you will be entered into the Pros versus Joes drawing if you are registered for the main event by midnight Pacific time on Sunday night. Chop Leagues, give them a shot. We just introduced FFPC Chop Leagues too at myffpc.com. They start at $35. They're kind of fun. MyFFPC.com is a register for all those. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live, which will be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on FFPC Insider Access with myself and Ryan Goodman. As our friend Vince Staffolino reminds us, you are officially over the hump now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. It was broadcast live and was watched around the world. Balky and Ferrell will be back next week with more analysis, more interviews, and more advice from guests much smarter than they are. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk with you again next week.
One other thing, I'll just get to this real quick. We just had Daniel on. Oops, that's the wrong one. We just had Daniel with a question on YouTube, and he writes in, you answering trade questions. The show's over now, so we're not answering them. But if you want to have your trade questions or any questions answered, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com is the best place to send them. We read emails from listeners/viewers every single week, Daniel. So send that in. We'll do our best to get to the show, to get that on the show next Wednesday. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Once again, I apologize for the late start. But, hey, if you're streaming this later, you didn't even know we started late. So there's that as well. Talk with everybody on Thursday and then extra reps on Friday. Be good, everyone. Thanks for watching.